So what I have here is two piles of Sitka bracing. They have been graded. They each came from a different plank. And what I did is, when I sawed it up into the rough rectangle, I checked its stiffness. And this is an incredibly stiff piece of spruce. I don't really care about the grain count. I know it's quarter cut. It varies from 10 to the inch to even finer. It's not really relevant. This is relevant. Different trunk, different tree. See that? Very, very much softer. So if you had a top that was really stiff and you wanted to warm it up, but you needed the support still, this would be your first choice, or my first choice. Use a softer piece of material. If you had a softer top that you wanted to brighten, you use this stuff. It makes the top, it basically immobilizes the top. It forces it into a more rigid mode of vibration. The longer waveforms, you'll have a real hard time finding a place to play with the real stiff brace stock, whereas the limber stuff, either this or the Adirondack, allows for a nice, rich, deep bottom end base. But that's what I do. I go through I'll cut up these chunks of spruce. It has to be Adirondack. I'll go ahead and slice it up, and then once I get to this stage, I'll check it, and it'll get soft, medium, or stiff pile. So here's my voicing. It's like cooking. Here's my cilantro, and here's my parsley, and it actually is a lot like cooking. There you have a recipe.
It's a recipe.
Yeah. Here's your main ingredient, and this is your spices and flavors. I kind of think of it that way, but it does work. And over time, at least for me, I can pick up a top and tell you exactly where it's going to go. It's just, there it is, I hear it. Teaching somebody to do that, on the other hand, last time I tried it took almost 5 years. And he was just starting to get it, and then he had to move on to a different job. Very frustrating. But I swear it is doable. It just takes a lot of practice. And for me, the beauty of how I do this, I build a lot of guitars. I build them relatively quickly. So I can remember that 2 or 3 weeks later when I string it up. And I already know or archived what kind of bracing we use. I remember that. So just keep relating it back to what you've done, what you've heard, what you've liked. And hopefully you get consistent with it. Because consistency with this stuff, I mean, you've seen with the Adirondack, every piece is different. Even different halves can have a different voice. So every piece of wood that goes into a guitar has an effect, but this is the biggest effect. This is, I think, 90% of the voice of an instrument. So let's go hear what this thing sounds like strung up.